Why are Trump officials moving into military bases and out of their homes?
They're taking the homes that previously housed senior officers on military bases, so-called for their protection and their security and their safety. These people include Marco Rubio, Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, and others. What is going on? This is not normal behavior. Is this setting the stage for something greater to be happening in this country? We need to be watching for these type of things. Please share this information.
Why are they doing this? Because they're afraid of the American people. They're literally waging war on American citizens, not just people who are here illegally, okay? They're waging war on American citizens, detaining people, deporting people without due process. This is so many crimes that they're committing, and they're going to go hide on a military base so that the American citizens cannot get to them. Because, you know, all these military folks, they're just following orders. They're not going to be able to do anything to these Trump officials. Why are they hiding? What are they so afraid of? If they're doing such great things, why do they need to hide from us?
There is a storm brewing behind the walls of America's power, and this time, it's not a political metaphor. Reports are emerging that former Trump officials are literally hiding out in military housing, ducking accountability while the nation they helped divide crumbles under economic and even moral collapse. And for the same people who once strutted on TV shouting law and order are now seeking refuge behind the very institution they once tried to politicize. And so, buckle up, because this story isn't just about hiding, it's about hypocrisy, literally in uniform.
Since when do cabinet members get to stay for free and live in military housing? Not never, until now. So basically, top Trump officials such as Miller, Noem, and Rubio are going to be staying in military housing that are reserved for military officers. Top members of Donald Trump's White House are reportedly living in homes typically reserved for top military brass in Washington, D.C., as they pull back from neighborhoods where their presence were often targeted by protests by the many Democrats who make the capital region their home. We all know that's a motherfucking lie. And being that they are cabinet members, they have security details. They have security to watch them. How easy is it for them to use the Democrats and all of these music festivals to go ahead and save money, right? Like, they don't want to spend money on their own housing. So they're going to go ahead and kick out top military officers from their housing on military bases for them to live for free. So this is their choice. So it's okay to go ahead and kick out the ones who are actually serving this country. Let's go ahead and kick them out of their housing to accommodate cabinet members who make millions of dollars, who can afford to pay for their own housing. Although while legal, the arrangements put a strain on the short supply of such housing in the District of Columbia and could ruffle some feathers among the nation's top commanders at a time when relations between political appointees and the brass is already strained. Haig said this largely to thank for the division after he summoned commanders to Virginia for a speech about warrior ethos and aesthetics that was reportedly not well received. I'm pretty sure after that, what could have been in an email, when all of those officers, generals and admirals and vice admirals all across the military had to go sit down at Quantico to listen to Pete Kegsbreath talk shit, I'm pretty sure this is not going to sit well with them.
These homes were built and funded for active duty military families, not political appointees seeking quiet luxury under the banner of security. How about that? Well, at first glance, you might think, okay, so what? Safety concerns, they need to make sure that they're good, right, in the middle of everything that's going on. But this isn't about protection only. It's about privilege. That's the first daggone thing, and access. And lastly, it's also about accountability. So you big and bad enough to do the stuff that you've been doing. Military versus civilian lines, they're actually blurring right now. When political appointees start taking up space, did you hear what I just said? In military housing, it challenges the principle that the armed forces and civilian leadership operate separately. Here's the other thing that you ought to be hot as fish grease about, since we're talking about who's footing what bill. Taxpayers are footing the bill. You and me, folks that's getting up, going to work every day, right? And while some of us are mad that people are getting food stamps and so forth, these people still getting paid and they're living rent free off of your dime. Now, some of these homes require six-figure maintenance costs. One property reportedly underwent $137,000 in taxpayer-funded upgrades before it was occupied. So let me tell you this, the message is absolutely clear. Public officials are sheltering themselves from the very people they claim to represent, which we know that they're only representing their own best interests and their beliefs. And security may be the reason, but isolation is the result. Should you be concerned? Absolutely.
It's gonna take the blue folks to make America great again. Because y'all are supporting someone who clearly doesn't care to do that. Why are we not supporting the farmers? I mean, in fairness, farmers, you voted for this. Don't have a whole lot of sympathy for you, but I'm just going along with your plan. Put America first. He isn't. He ain't caring about your cattle and how you're going to sell it and make money, feed your family. No, sir, no, ma'am. He cares about the Argentinian cattle. Remember, we gave a whole bunch of money to Argentina as well. So, I don't know, do what you will. But what I hope that you will do, Republicans, is remember this. The next time you have to vote, when you walk in the booth, don't think about me. Don't think about how much I irritated you. Don't think about how much any other blue or purple folks irritated you. Think of how much Trump hasn't done for you. How about that?
You ever notice how the louder someone yells patriotism, the faster they run when the consequences come calling? Now, that's the energy we are seeing as whispers grow louder that some of Trump's former insiders are quietly slipping into the safety of military housing, a move that screams both desperation and strategy. And so these aren't just random bureaucrats. We're talking about the architects of policies that shook America's democracy and now tucking themselves away behind the same camouflage they once used political theater. It's simply poetic, or really the self-proclaimed defenders of freedom retreating to the one place their version of law and order can't easily reach them. And so here's where it gets deeper. These are the same officials who championed austerity, shouted America first, and rolled back programs for veterans and working class families. And now they are allegedly depending on the very taxpayer-funded institutions they hold out. And so the iron is so thick you could cut it with a bayonet. While every day Americans are rationing groceries and praying that their healthcare survives another round of budget cuts, the so-called patriots are finding sanctuary behind military fences. And this isn't just politics, it's a parable of power meeting its own reflection. And make no mistake, because this silence from the MAGA base isn't confusion, it's calculation. Because deep down, they know the rough on the tough, on accountability, mask slips fast when the handcuffs come out. And the same movement that mocked others for playing victim is now perfecting the art of the hideaway. And they built an empire on outrage. And now that empire's foundation are cracking, economic reality collides with political delusion. And what's left is the sound of doors quietly closing in heavily guarded compounds. And what happens when the symbols of military strength become shelters for political fear? Now, when heroes become fugitives of their own ideology, that's not just a news headline, it's a warning, because history has a funny way of revealing the truth, even when it hides in plain sight. And so the next time you hear someone screaming law and order while they are ducking behind military gates, remember this moment.